It's a shitty day. Now, young Tom, I've known you for about like 20, 30 years. Like me, journalist, you've evolved though. You've been writing books now for how long? You've
A
had
long time.
like
A long time. I took a break now for a few years. That's why I'm
right.
getting back into it. Yeah.
But like music, like a lot of art, it's a tough line of work, and that's something that you discovered again recently. When even though you got incredible reviews for your last book, very good reviews, there was a real struggle to get it out there. And then the publishing house, a Dublin publishing house, unfortunately folded, and it never hit the shelves. So tell us that you've decided to go with the self-publishing route. Was it a kind of a long, kind of nice tossing and turning about this,
Sort
or
of dark night of this whole kind of process. Yeah, it kind of was. The last publisher, he just didn't get support from. He was up against the big noises,
Yeah.
the big guys in the publishing industry, so he couldn't get the books on the shelf, and he pulled the plug. So I took a few years out of it because I was working in newspapers and the newspaper world kind of.
What's a newspaper? What's a newspaper?
Exactly. I put that in the book. You know, as a kid, the book says nobody reads newspapers anymore.
Right.
So you find yourself sort of aging a bit. You're kind of at a crossroads. You're looking at a digital world, and then you're sort of leaving the traditional world of publishing behind. You're kind of thinking, how am I going to go about this? You know. So I wrote this based on my experience.
The Ghost
as a
song.
musician, yeah, the
Right.
Ghost song as well, which I've worked in. You know.
Yeah.
And I just started sending it around, and the response was so slow, and it's like, you know, getting it. And one publisher said to me, a guy in England, I really like the book, love the writing, but you're better off self-publishing. And that was the sort of
That was a trigger.
that was the clincher. I said, look, I'll give it a go. You know,
So,
but it's tough.
in the end, now you did it's a bit of a globe-trotting book, because you got Brazil and Philippines and Poland involved in the actual production of the book, which is sort of, is that reflective of the I suppose that the trickiness of getting the best deal and getting the best quality out there, or was that just random chance that
That's when the Oscar comes up and they say, well, here's diversity for you. You know?
Right.
No, it's basically, I think, when I started pricing how to do this thing, right?
Right.
You're talking about proofread in Ireland, a couple of grand, you know, and I hate having to go outside the country. You know, I like to keep the work in you know, to give the gigs to people here. But you're talking about a couple of grand for proofing, designer to do a cover. You got to get it done properly.
Sure.
Otherwise, you know, you don't do it right. So eventually went online and found all these people. You know, so.
And it's something you've said is that, you know, obviously there's pros and cons in every kind of, you know, whatever you're doing in business. But in this case, one of the big pros was that you were involved in all this, though, that which was a huge thing, that you could actually oversee every step of the way.
Yeah,
it wasn't sort of given to somebody and they come back and say, this is our design, you know, like it or lump it.
Exactly, that happened. You know, there was one book I did. I won't say what it was because it's still doing quite well. And the cover came back and it's like, no, I don't like that. And it was like tough. This is what we're doing. This is the designer come up with. This is he's gonna look good in the shows. You don't know when you say in that kind of process. You know.
Right.
Then again, your judging might always be correct. Do you know what I mean? So, that's why I got a good designer, and I wanted this retro look because the music is sort of
a big part of it, and that
part of it. So
sort of vinyl generation of.
I dig it out now.
Oh, lovely.
And then the printing was done. It's done on Amazon. I just decided to go with Amazon only.
Right.
Because now there's pros and cons again.
Which is another big step to sort of, because it is the way the world is going, and I know I'm as guilty as anyone else that, you know, if I'm looking for a certain album, I'd probably just look there first. The idea of trekking into town to try and find it is just like work. Whereas if I just go looking online, it's sort of, there it is, I found it.
It's there.
Yeah.
You know, like Amazon is the world's biggest, marketplace.
Yeah.
And it's like a search engine. You know what I mean? So you need to do your homework before you put up there on how you're going to get all the metadata correct and how you're going to market it. You know, otherwise you're going to be just traipsing pen to paper.
Well, shooting in the dark. Yeah. Now, we should say that there is, as you've said to me before, actually, that there is a stigma around self-publishing. Now, the Greystones happens to be the self-publishing capital of Ireland. They did a kind of a numbers game of how many people are, and there is that idea, well, it's just somebody who couldn't get published. But of course, you're coming from a very different world where you have been published, and it's a decision more about that kind of control and being able to actually get it out there in a way that you feel it makes sense, rather than relying on somebody else's work.
Yeah, and it's just because the process is so slow, and then look, in fairness, I got projections for it as well, don't forget. You know,
Right.
Even though it's been published before, you're only as good as your last book, and they look at something and they're going to go, how are they going to market this? And it's tough. Publishing is very tough traditionally. You know, you're either a household name, or you're a celebrity who can sell books with a name,
Sure.
or you got something that's just so good that it gets heat. You know, the agents talk about it, publishers talk about it, and it's pick
No,
them,
you're in
you know,
you're
so
in the big muddy. That's kind of celebrity thing. There isn't you're not exploiting
well,
that.
we got like I think it's 250 likes.
Holy
Or
moly! There
something,
you
you know
go.
what I
Well,
mean?
see, there you go. There's 250 sales right away.
No, but you harness
Yeah.
whatever you can.
Yeah.
Like this, you know what I mean? But one thing I decided I'm not going to do is depend on friends and family as a target market for books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't become
It's
that
slightly
person.
unfair. It's like, yeah, when you
No, it's
come to
awful.
my gig again, like, you know,
You
my
can do it once.
yeah.
And I sent everyone a message once, and then you're on your analytics, and you're seeing.
Right.
You can, if this is good, you can measure. You know, you can measure where sales are coming from. You can
Right,
see
right.
what sales are like. So you contact all your friends. They come back. Yeah, I'm gonna get your book. Then you go into your reports. No sales. You're like, okay, I know this. But you don't want to be that person. You know, the phone rings.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Galvin again. I haven't bought a bloody book. You just become sort of
Yeah.
a bit of a. But you have to invest the money in marketing and
Right.
promotion yourself. I did a course in digital marketing, you know, a while
Right.
ago, and that's useful, you know. Otherwise, it's just throwing stuff into the sink.
Well, the whole world is sort of digital marketing, whether it's just selling them their beautiful face or whether it's selling actual products. Or, I mean, we live in the influencer generation, which is a bizarre world where somebody who just happens to, you know, either be attractive or funny or whatever can become a celebrity really on the back of just trying to sell stuff to people. I'm wondering whether you feel comfortable with that when you looked into digital marketing, whether it's just being clever about how you present the book as opposed to, I don't think you're going to become a YouTube star, are you?
Well, no, but I did music to go with the book.
Right.
So I have made a couple of videos, and I'm going to slowly put that out there.
Well, we should say that's an interesting angle that you've written about a musician. It's a certain kind of era that you'd be very familiar with, that sort of vinyl generation, and the idea then that you actually wrote songs that
I wrote
connect
songs
to them.
with it before,
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah, with the help of a good producer, I'd like to have done more, and I will do more, hopefully. So
Right.
it is about this aging, maturing, like a musician, right? Who's up
Right.
against the digital age, and how he finds a way to get around that and
Right.
win out the day. I can't give away too much.
Semi-autobiographical then, but you know, like it is.
It kind of is, because it's about, it's a journalist in it, so it's told from multiple
Yeah.
points of view, right? So there's a journalist in it, so obviously I have
Mm.
experience in that. There's a promoter in it too, you know, dealt with promoters, there's a musician obviously. So there's all these characters, and they tell this guy's story. You'll find out why it's put on, why he's not really in it. So it's
Right.
it's an easy read because it's like a script. You know,
Sure.
it's like a reading, and then there's the songs referred to, and you can go and listen to the songs, and that's all that kind of. And you see, you need ammunition, you know, to put out on social media if you have.
Sure, you need content that actually works,
You
and
need content that works.
yeah.
So the more you have to put out there, the better. So that's why I have the music and the videos. Videos just get huge hits. If you put
Right.
a piece of video,
Yeah.
it's going to soar way above
What you
just
might
this
otherwise
basic
attract. And
copy and so on.
now it is a kind of labour of love. Music, you know, which you're a musician and you play in various bands, and we mentioned the Big Muddy, but and anybody will tell you, as you know, that's a labour of love because there's very little money really in the music industry except for a 0.1%, whatever.
Getting 100 bucks.
There you go. But that idea too, and possibly writing is even tougher because there is not. So it's not like you go do a book reading in a pub for the night and get 50 quid in your pocket. It's a little bit harder again because it's purely down to whether people will take that jump and say, okay, I'm going to try this book. I mean, is it for you something that you took a few years off? Have you kind of struggled a lot with whether this is actually worth it? Because yeah,
I did, and
has your wife ever slapped you about the head and face?
she hasn't even bought the bloody book. That said a lot, you know what I mean? And like, I gave her a free copy. And midnight, what page are you on? She goes 10. The next day, what page are you on? 10. And, it's just for purpose. You know
Right.
what I mean? No, I did struggle. That's why I had to go down this.
Right.
And I'd sell the soul a little bit, put it on Amazon because,
Right.
like I say, they're doing all the costs, and they did a nice product.
Right.
And
Right.
you know, you're not. They you know, someone orders a book, they cover the cost of printing. You get a good royalty, you know,
Yeah.
compared with what you get in traditional publishing house. I got a last check for one of the books in January. It was like 25 quid or something. per royalty check.
Baboom!
25 quid. Seriously.
Holy moly! You could buy socks and underpants with that.
A bottle of wine and yeah.
Go mad.
But commercially, Paul,
Yeah.
unless you start shifting lots of units,
Right.
a lot of people who do the self-publishing thing, they are revamping books and putting out the same content in different guides. It's putting out low-content books.
Right.
Putting out books once a month and stuff. And so
I mean, did you? I don't know if you see like. I mean, thankfully, a lot of people do buy books. We've two bookshops in Greystones. You know, there's bookshops here in Bray, but they do pretty well, and they've survived through the recession, and now there's a new one open up for kids. they seem to be hitting the ground running. I mean, would you be optimistic about the world of books, or do you?
So, yeah, I mean,
Right.
do you remember years ago they were dead?
Right.
Physical books. Do you remember years ago they were talking about the death?
Yeah.
Now about physical books, and I still buy books.
Yeah.
You know, I buy books. I buy them from Amazon most of the time.
Right.
You just, like you say, you're right there.
The convenience and yeah.
You know,
But there has that vinyl kind of, there's that vinyl feel about it. There's a
Vinyl
tactile,
sort of,
and you feel like you're kind of, and the idea that you basically don't need batteries, you don't need to rely on something being charged to read it, that you can actually just take it out of your pocket on a train or anywhere, and it's there. And,
I never get into the Kindle. I think
yeah.
your music collection, your book collection, it defines you as a person. Someone's into your house.
Yeah.
You see these things,
Right.
You want to expose yourself or not. That's
what you do in the privacy of your own home is up to you, Tom. That's fine.
Yeah,
I've heard about that. So ultimately, we will put a link to the Amazon. We'll put a link now to the music as well. So it's pretty easy to sort of, and of course, as you say, having stuff like the music that accompanies the book would give like people a kind of a taste of what to that there's some kind of other arms to it, that it's multimedia.
Yeah, it's kind of a journey,
Yeah.
So when you read the book, there's lyrics referred to, and you go back and you can listen to
Right.
the music and so on. There's one song that's a particular book.
Right.
But
But that sort of crazy hard notion. These are popular stories like Star is Born, all that. They are popular when it comes to the movies. Were you kind of allowing that to be part of your thinking when you were writing it? Because
that's a hope, isn't it?
Right. Right.
That someone would think of something go out, or something great. I mean, it's almost like a script.
Sure.
So again, this will make a good story.
Colin Farrell could do with the work. I think we should call him. But yeah, we'll put all the links in, and as I said, there's quite a few. I know that even in the Greystones bookshop now, some of the people there have two of them at least have written books that are due out this year. My daughter's written a book, and it is a beautiful thing to do, because there's something so tangibly wonderful about just picking up a book and knowing that it's out there in the world and can randomly just affect people and all the rest. So I'm hoping for you too. There's that as much as this has been a learning curve of getting into that side of the actual production of the book, but the actual book itself, the joy of the writing and all that. I hope that's obviously still there with you, right?
Yeah, definitely. I have another one ready to go.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I'll say it will be a learning curve, because you learn a lot about how you market.
And do you think the missus will read the new one, or?